Video we're going to talk about Jay Peak Ski Area, which is a ski area in Vermont, Northern Vermont, that claims it gets 347 inches of snow a year and more snow than any other ski resort in the Northeast. So I don't believe that, and in this video I'm going to explain why I think that's kind of a stretch to say they get this much snow. Alright, so reason number one. JP claims they get more snow than Mount Washington. Okay, so we're looking at Mount Washington, and in the last 3 years, or how about this, in the last 10 years, I did an average. So I think from 2023 or 2013 to 2023, the average was 289 inches of snow. Now, what's Mount Washington? If you didn't know, Mount Washington's the tallest mountain on the East Coast, and it's 6,200 some odd feet, and Jay Peak's like 4,000 some odd feet at the top. So that's a big elevation gain. Now I know someone might say, yeah, well, Vermont gets more snow than New Hampshire, but it's only 100 miles away, and again, that's 2,200 feet elevation difference. So let's look at so Mount Washington. Take a few peeks. This is Tuckerman's Ravine. This is like a super cool place you can hike to in the spring. Most people do it in the spring. Some mad people might do it in the winter. Or a lot of risks up there. I saw someone die over here when I hiked up there one time many years ago. And yeah, Mount Washington. This is a cool picture right here. So Tuckerman's Ravine I just showed you here, Mount Washington. So it's kind of a serious looking mountain. This is kind of like some mountains, looking like mountains out west, kind of serious area. So if you think Vermont gets more snow than New Hampshire, I think that's partially true, and I'll show you a pretty cool image later on created by the National Weather Service. But Mount Mansfield, like, I don't know, there's no data here for whatever reason. You can look it up. But Mount Mansfield, like in the last 2017 to 2008, biggest snow year was here, 272 inches of snow. Now, what's funny is there's other ski areas. We're going to now kind of lead into another reason, like, why is kind of like the surrounding areas and the surrounding ski areas don't really give us any indication that Jay would get that much more snow. So here, 2008, biggest snow year, 272 inches of snow. So there's nothing here over 300, and it's funny that like Stowe Resort, which is on Mount Mansfield, claims it gets 300 some odd inches of snow a year. So how can that be if Mount Mansfield, the top of Mount Mansfield, is higher than the top lift on Stowe? Smugglers Notch claims a similar amount of snow as well. There's really not many years in here that are over 300. Looking at more than how many? It's like 3 years within the last like 25 years or so that were over 300 inches of snow. And yeah, many more years where they got less than 200 inches of snow. So let's look at another. Let's kind of move to some nearby towns and see if my computer is going to be friendly or not. Here, this maps yesterday was giving me. So Jay's up here. I believe Montgomery is like, I have to get rid of these stupid grid marks. I believe Montgomery is over here somewhere. Yeah, I'm not going to mess with this. It's driving me nuts. So over here somewhere is Montgomery, Vermont, and Montgomery, Vermont claims it gets, where is it? Averages 92 inches of snow a year. That's near Jay. But what about Jay? Jay's a town. And here we are, Jay, best places, also sources some of their data they said from the National Weather Service, averages 94 inches of snow a year. I mean, that's a fair amount. But we look at other ski areas or other towns. Here's Colebrook, New Hampshire, which is like a small town in northern. It's over here near the Vermont border. Northern New Hampshire, not far from Balsam's Wilderness ski area, which it's been shut down for many years and might be opening up, so they say, in the future. Colebrook, yeah, 103 inches of snow a year. And like the Underhill, Vermont, okay, Underhill, Vermont is like, it's on the west side. Where's Stowe? So Mount Mansfield's like in here somewhere, and Underhill's like over here. I'm not going to mess with this map because it's being difficult. Yeah, so now the Rangeley, Maine is the place that I found on this site, or just kind of searching areas in the northeast that gets the most snow actually, and that's an average of 126 inches of snow a year. I think Rangeley, I looked it up, is close to 2,000 feet in elevation, so it's a little bit taller than some of these other towns. But yeah, you can let me know what you find, if you can find a town that gets more snow than Rangeley according to this. So, okay, another thing is in this area, like, so we talked about Stowe and Smugglers Notch, Jay, some towns around here and not around here. What about above, like, so Jay claims they get so much snow. Don't you think some of these other ski areas up here would get a lot of snow too? So I looked Mount Sutton, which is like pretty close to Jay. It's not that far. You can look it up and see exactly how far it is. Only claims, like, this is the data on their site, and this is the precipitation at the base, I guess. And their biggest year was 566 inches of snow. Their averages, sometimes they get less than 300. I said inches, I think centimeters. I mean, if we go back to Jay says they get 881 centimeters, which is like, on average, 2 times the amount of snow. Here, I mean, top of the mountain, probably get more snow. So, kind of, Anyways, let's move on to one of the next reasons. Jay Peak, I'm kind of skimming around here, getting distracted. Jay Peak makes snow. Like, if we go back to this page here and we look at man-made snow, 80% coverage. So I'm thinking of like this. If Jay Peak makes snow, like, and if they get so, why do they make snow if they get that much snow? And I can hear someone saying, well, yeah, dude, they like, like the snow, yeah, they can open earlier and like close later, dude. Duh, everybody does that. Actually, everybody doesn't do that. Like, I've done most of my riding out west, and I've ridden, counted up last year, more than 30, can't remember exactly, ski areas across the U.S., most of them in the west, Rocky Mountains west, and a few in Canada, and 1 or 2 in France, actually, a long time ago. So, and I can tell you what, let's just go back to last season. Last season, I was at Brundage Mountain. If we look up Brundage, looking at Arizona snowbowl, Brundage snowfall. Probably got to type in. Well, here's the snow from last. I don't know if this is last season or not. I'm not going to click on it, but basically, if you look that up, annual snow, it's like 300 to 350. Here we go. All right, so I was there last season, and I can tell you what, they've got approximately 2 snow guns, or not even guns, they're cannons. They have no pipelines on the trails, on the mountain. They just have 2 snow cannons they use early season on like the baby trail. And my boss at Train Park was also managed the actual snowmaking. So they pretty much do not make snow. and they have no problem opening it up, usually sometime between Thanksgiving and early December. And they close down like other areas, like usually early April is when they closed last year, like the 7th or 8th or something. The year before that, I was at Lookout Pass, Idaho. Lookout Pass claims more snow. They're like close to claim more like 400 inches of snow. They do not make snow. They have no snowmaking whatsoever. So they claim more, and let's go. I've ridden a lot of mountains. A mountain that I rode quite a bit where I went to college is here, Arizona Snowbowl. At the time when I was there, Arizona Snowbowl made zero snow. They had no snowmaking whatsoever. They do now, and every season I was there, except for one, they would open in December and close in April. One year I was there, they had a really crappy season, and yeah, they were only open for like a few months. But so some of you would be like, "What, Arizona?" Yeah, Arizona Snowbowl is like the base elevation's like around 9,000 feet, and the top of this lift up here used to be called Agassiz. It was over 11,000 feet, and then I think it's called Agassiz Chairlift. But Mount Agassiz is the tallest peak here, and that's over 12,000 feet. So, pretty cool mountain. I haven't been there in like decades, but pretty rad place. And like I said, they used to say, now they say 260, but they used to say 250 back in the day, and no snowmaking most of the time, open and close, early enough. Like, this is not unusual, like ski areas out west that don't make snow. It's probably, they say like because of global warming, it's getting a little bit tougher in some places, but in higher elevation places tend to do okay usually. So here in 2023, I think they had a pretty good season. Flagstaff says here 163 inches of snow. Yeah, so recently I was looking up a mountain in Montana. I was kind of researching Montana, and I saw one called kind of a smaller mountain called Showdown, and actually contacted them. And they get like not even, well, this one says they get 168 inches of snow a year. And I found other ones saying 200 and as high as 240 for this mountain. And I actually emailed them because I was kind of inquiring about like working there and stuff, and they said they tend to open. Last year they opened Thanksgiving, and they'll try to open Thanksgiving or otherwise early December, and they don't make snow. They have zero snow making. So I'm just telling you all this because like it's like if J Peak like really gets so much snow, like they're claiming like their average is like, I would say compared to Western resorts, that's like in the like medium high range, I'd say. Like there's resorts out there out west, and some of them I've ridden that claim they get more than 400 or so. Mount Baker, I've been there, driven up to that mountain, and when you're driving up to the mountain, you get like super deep snowbanks. They don't even plow the snow. There's so much snow, they have these like big machines that blow snow. So it's more like a tunnel going up there. It's like, you can get up to like, I don't even know how. Some of you guys know Mount Baker, and you can let us know. But I'm thinking like 10, 15 feet tall on the sides, I've had home mountains in the northwest, Hood, and yeah, these places get a lot of snow. Anyways, so let me like kind of look. So the last thing I want to share with you, I think, let me double check. Oh, one more thing I want to point out before we get to the final and a pretty reliable source of information on snowfall totals in the Northeast. I like to point out is base depth. So the last few years, now I've been watching J Peak because I'm originally from the Northeast, and I've thought about moving up there. I've inquired about working there, and I've really looked into it and seriously considered it. Um, I've been there. Um, I've been to probably like 10 resorts in the Northeast, in Vermont and Hampshire. And actually, the first place I ever went snowboarding was in North Carolina, believe it or not. And yeah, so base depth. Another thing is if you get this much snow, JP claims they get 347 inches of snow, then you're gonna have a base. And one thing I've watched over the last few years, I'll go during the season and look at JP and check see how much snow they say they got. And these years, at least like out of the last 3 years, they still claim to get over 300 inches of snow. And like we saw earlier, Mount Washington got like less than 200 inches of snow. And at the same time, if you check their base depth on the bottom, it was like on the bottom, like 20 some odd inches. In my experience, you can't get 300 some odd inches of snow and only have a 20-inch base depth. All these mountains that I mentioned earlier, I gave you some. I don't know about Showdown because I didn't snowboard there, but what did we look up? I showed you Arizona snowbowl. So Arizona snowbowl, I rode it probably 4 years. I remember in good seasons, like the base on the top getting over 100 inches, and on the bottom, can't remember exactly, but it was like at least like 60 something, and that was like on like good years, and they didn't make snow again. Um, Brundage last season, someone can look it up, but they had a pretty good season, and again, there was like, parking lot snowbanks were huge. There were like, I don't know, man, 15 feet on one side. But that's just the parking lot. They can push snow up and stuff. But you're driving up the mountain, and, the side of the roads were like 5 feet tall with snow at least. So, yeah. Now, lastly, I want to share with you a cool pic. So, this picture, zoom out a bit here. Average annual snowfall in the Northeast, 1981 to 2010, and created by the U.S. National Weather Service in Burlington, Vermont. So with this legend, see the snowfall totals. So greater than 200 inches of snow a year. Let's look. So the first one you see is actually over here. Might be in might be called Tug Hill. Region or something like this. This is, lake. What lake is this? You can let us know in the comments. I can tell you that last season I drove from this area of the world out to Idaho, and between here and Idaho, the place where I saw the most snow was in Michigan, near Lake Superior. And early season, December, there were, in some areas of Michigan, there were some big piles of snow and quite a bit of snow for early season. And late season, when I drove back, there was like in May, like middle May, there was like in some places in Michigan, there was still 4 inches of snow on the ground. So, and that's because it was near the Great Lakes, like this is here. So, anyways, now if we look for the next pink location, which is over 200 inches of snow, we're going to find it here. And that is Mount Washington. Okay, which kind of makes sense. We go back to what we said earlier. We got 289 inches of snow between 2013 and 2023. Now, where are we? Yeah, so next region of snowfall, 150 to 200 inches of snow is the purple. And like over here, this is like going to be Mount Mansfield and stuff. And this purple like area, and there's a few specks of purple here, which would probably be, I'm going to guess, Sugar Bush, and maybe this one might be Killington down here, which says they get 250 inches of snow or something. So it's like this like northern, like JP claims they get close to 350. Stowe and Smugglers Not say they get 300 inches. And Killington, like, so this is like, what's going on here? Like, just because you're further north, you get more snow. Like, that kind of makes sense in a logical way, but the data supplies here by the map doesn't actually. It's kind of doing it more by elevation by the looks of it, and in this case it's not elevation because these mountains aren't very tall over here. It's based on snowfall. So, and yeah, you look at Vermont and New Hampshire, like you see, like Vermont's got more areas. The lighter areas are lower snowfall. So Vermont's got more areas that are covered by getting higher amounts of snow than New Hampshire. New Hampshire's a little more coastal, getting less. Cannon Mountain Ski Area. Worked there for a season, rode that for a season, and beginning of another is here in the purple. And Cannon claims they get 160 inches of snow. And well, Cannon's run by the state, and of course that area it's in says 150 to 200. So maybe the in Loon would be like probably over here somewhere in the dark blue area, and they claim a similar amount as far as I know. So yeah, there you have it. And we talked earlier about Rangeley. Rangeley, Maine is like up in here somewhere. So kind of in this other area here that's getting pretty good snowfall. Yeah, so I just want to share that because I can just constantly see this stuff, publication, JP, this and that, getting all this snow, and like, I've been there, and like I said earlier, it might get more snow than other ski areas in the east, and but I just don't think they get anywhere near what they say they get. And like, another thing is like, J Peak is like, I don't know what fraud happened. Like, you can look it up, but they got a little bit of a record for. There's like new owners now and stuff, and they didn't like suddenly switch their snowfall averages. But yeah, they get a little record for being like, yeah, you can look it up. Anyways, just sharing that. Thought some of you might find this interesting. And if you have anything you want to share, you can leave it in the comments. Thank you very much, and have a good one.